I also want to bring in public health analyst Dr. Irwin Redlener, founding director at the National Center for Disaster Preparedness. Always good to see you, Irwin. I mean, for kids who may have lost schools, they lost their homes, places that were critical to their everyday routines. How do you go about trying to restore some sense of normalcy? And can a camp like this help with that?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. And I was really happy to hear Norma talk about the program. And it is really important to support children in the immediate aftermath of a massive disaster like this. And there's a couple of points that we've learned from disasters in the past, including children who are being displaced now in Ukraine, for example, that this disruption, acute disruption because of the fear of violence and danger all around them, can have not only short-term impact on children, but can affect them in the long run as well. So staying in touch with these kids, trying to reestablish a sense of normalcy as soon as we can is absolutely critical, but it's doable. We just have to pay attention to what those needs are and make sure that the children who are not necessarily responding so well to things like those wonderful camps, that they are followed and may need professional help as well. This is a whole family impact from this really terrible disaster in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so how do parents, and frankly, parents who are anxious and dealing with their own trauma, right, even begin to talk to kids about this? Because many of these children will have experienced the fear of, you know, an evacuation, having to get out, in some cases running for their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, look, I think the advice for parents right now is this: first of all, stay close to your children, sit next to them, establish routines or reestablish routines for mealtime and bedtime as soon as you can, even if you're in a temporary shelter. And the other thing is, I would really try as a parent to reduce or eliminate television watching. I hate to say this on television, but watching scenes of the fire repeated over and over again is not necessarily a good idea for children. And the other thing is that the way we talk to children about disasters varies according to the age and the personality of a kid. So, you know, what you tell a 4-year-old and how you reassure a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old is different than how we talk to and reassure a teenager, for example. So be available, try to support your kids as possible, get them back to some semblance of normalcy and help them get through this crisis, even though we totally recognize that the parents are just as traumatized, having lost so much in these fires in LA.
Yeah, and have so many big decisions to make. Let me give you one example that I bring courtesy of the Washington Post, Irwin, who talked to an 11-year-old girl. Her name is Emery. She lost both her home and her elementary school in the fires and started a new school just yesterday. And here's what she told the Post, quote, "It doesn't feel the same. Our school was next to the ocean, but I'm glad I can see my friends again." She told her friend that she hadn't done her homework because her backpack, which she thought was fireproof, had burned. She hoped that was okay. You know, for kids, their worries and fears might be different than their parents or other adults in their lives, but those fears are real. Like, am I going to get in trouble? My homework was in that backpack. So how do you talk to kids to allow them to get those fears out, to get those emotions out?
Sure. Well, first of all, Chris, you know, acknowledging that the loss has been horrendous and understanding that there may be things that children are missing that adults might not think about, like in that case of a child's backpack, or maybe their favorite stuffed animal, or some other particular, even small item that was lost, or small memory of something important to them that was destroyed in the fire. So allowing kids the space psychologically to talk about what's been bothering them and then reassuring them that everything is replaceable. And the other thing, unfortunately, is that there's going to be some children who may have lost a loved one or a loved pet family pet that will cause a serious amount of grieving for children in the long haul. And in those cases, it may not be so easy for a parent to reassure and manage grieving in their children, in which case, it's really important that they seek appropriate professional help early on.